How's it been? How's it been fitting in? Did you ever think this opportunity would come? What was it like when you heard and you talked to coach and all that?
Yeah, I certainly hoped it would at some point. Ever since I left back in at the end of 2015, I always, it was my first professional club, very special club to me, and you know, my time here, those 4 years were incredibly influential on my career. And certainly when I left, there was a sense of, wow, I'd love to come back here one day. Immediately when I got to the UK, started working on my coaching badges. This is something I knew I wanted to do and have thought about for a long time. And so, sort of middle of the year when Jimmy and Gonzo both left, certain conversations started happening. Seattle reached out to Vancouver to ask permission, and we had a good conversation and a couple interviews. I was just so excited about it, and for the rest of the year, obviously very focused on playing and finishing out the season with Vancouver, and just kind of hoped, this is sort of what I wanted to have happen, but of course you're never quite sure. So when I got the call from Schmetz to kind of officially offer me the role, I was over the moon, delighted. I knew it was exactly sort of the next step I wanted to take.
What was the process in deciding that you were done playing, that last year was going to be your last year?
Yeah, obviously for any player, it's such a difficult decision. When I went through the interview process in the middle of the year, I was kind of decided if I was going to get offered the job, then I would take it. I just think opportunity-wise for what I want to do next, this is just the best possible starting point. My ambition over the probably last year and a half has sort of started to shift towards coaching, and all last season I worked with the academy in Vancouver and loved that. Obviously loved playing, very proud of my playing career, but if this wasn't on the table, then certainly would have continued playing and would have given my all for that. But as soon as it was the Sounders and working for Schmetz and this coaching staff and coming back to Seattle, my wife absolutely loved living here for the first time around. My sister lives here. There were just so many things that I thought, wow, what an opportunity that would be. Too good to turn down, and certainly, like I said, for a first step post-playing career, I couldn't think of a better opportunity.
Did you have an opportunity to continue playing elsewhere?
Yeah, I was in talks with Vancouver to continue, playing and my work with the academy there. Really enjoyed my playing days there for the last 3 years and my role within that group. So a couple other teams, obviously with free agency, a couple other conversations. So yeah, like I said, I think if this hadn't have been on the table, then I certainly would have been focused on continuing to play. But as soon as this came up, I knew it's what I wanted to do. I had hopes that it would happen. And then a couple of weeks ago, when things started to really come to fruition, obviously I was so excited.
Now that you're back, what is the conversations? What's the relationship like with Brian, and what has it been like just working right under him?
Awesome. We had a great connection when I was a player here and playing for him and for Ziggy, and obviously they were the coaches that really gave me my start in the game. Saw something in me out of college, and those were incredibly influential years for my career, for my life. We've stayed in touch over the last 6 years. I think it's been since I left, and he's somebody I have so much respect for. Obviously, the success he's had now as a head coach throughout this last stretch has been incredible. The whole coaching, Brian especially, I'm going to learn so much from the way he manages the group. But of course, then you add in Precky's experience, Freddie Juarez already being a head coach in this league, and he's been brilliant with me, such a great guy. Tommy was here when I was here, so him and I have always had a good relationship and really appreciate what he's all about, and Henry as well. So I'm excited to learn from all these guys.
Can you take us back to that day when you got the call, I'm assuming, about, the position and that they wanted you? What did you feel? How did you celebrate? Where were you?
Yeah, there was a little bit of back and forth, and it was I think the first couple of days in January, and I spent most of the off season back home in the UK with my family. I hadn't seen them since the pandemic. I've got 2 kids now, my 4-year-old, and my parents hadn't even met my 18-month-old, so we spent some good time in the UK, and yeah, it was so up in the air. Am I going to continue playing? Is this opportunity going to happen? And then finally we got to Toronto to see my in-laws and my wife's family, and then the conversation started to really pick up. And yeah, it was always, for me, it was always my top choice, and I just had said to myself, and I think it was important midway through last season that I understood that and kind of wrapped my head around that and what that meant for playing wise, and I just tried to enjoy every single training session as much as possible, every single opportunity to play, feeling like it could be my last, and to be able to bring all those experiences fresh off of playing to this group is something I'm really excited about.
At this stage in your coaching career, obviously very early, do you have a coaching ethos? Do you see yourself as more offensive or defensive minded, or is that at this point it's more kind of taking it in and figuring out what that is?
Yeah, I mean, throughout my last 3 clubs between Coventry, Motherwell, and Vancouver, I worked with the academy players and tried to pick up as much from different coaches. Obviously, part of the reason why I left Seattle back at the end of 2015 was because I wanted to understand different philosophies and experience different ways of playing the game and learn from different coaches. And you certainly, I think, as you go through your playing career, you pick up an awful lot from all those different training sessions and all those different philosophies and different shapes and systems and everything. And of course, I have the things in my career that I've really enjoyed, the things I haven't, the types of players I've played with, and understanding different personalities. There's so many things to coaching that I've got an awful lot to learn, but certainly there's a way of playing football that I enjoy most and I want to see. And I think there's, of course, you can have that, but then also it's all about the group and the group of players you have and how your principles and ideas fit into those individuals and making it all as a collective work to win. So I said to all these guys, whatever they're looking for from me, whatever I can do to add to the coaching staff, whether that's working with young players, opposition analysis, or obviously I'm coming off a year of playing against most of the players we're going to come up against this year, so I think I can add a slightly different perspective to the rest of the guys in that regard. Set pieces, planning, training, anything. I want to be a bit of a sponge and learn as much as I can from these guys.
Are you vocal with that right now, or are there nerves as far as being first time?
Yeah, I mean, like anything, I think luckily I've had the experience coaching on the pitch. Last season with the 17s, long days for me. I was training in the morning with the first team and then on the pitch with the 17s in the afternoon, and getting those hours, learning your voice, learning how to communicate with players. All those things are things I've paid attention to throughout my entire career, and how different coaches have found ways to connect with guys. Those are all things I've subtly tried to pick up throughout my career, or at least paid attention to. And then you just get in the rhythm of it. And obviously, I know a lot of these guys have either played with them or played against the majority of them. So now to step into this role is obviously different. But I think it just comes down to who you are as a person. I don't think you need to change in any way. I'm not going to change. The way I talk to them is still very much the same. And I think as time goes on, I'll get more and more comfortable. But so far, it's been great.
How do you evaluate
Last couple for Andy, guys.
How do you evaluate the scrimmage?
Today, I mean, very early. I think some of the young players were really energetic, really enthusiastic, had some great moments. I think right now we're really trying to figure out individuals, which ones can make it to the next step. Obviously, for first team players coming back in, a big part today is about fitness and kind of really building that base. Obviously, missing a lot of guys at the moment, so can they stamp a little bit of authority on the group and show that leadership that we need because there's so many young players in camp. But I remember doing this 10 years ago when I was a young guy coming in, from UCLA, and I remember those feelings. And so just being able to connect with guys and start building those bonds and building that trust, that's been my biggest focus. And with a lot of the young boys today, I thought they did really well.
Any part of you wanted to be out there with them?
Yes, probably less so than I imagined. I really enjoyed, taking it in from the sideline and planning, and I've loved sitting in the coach's office and having those conversations. I've loved that side of it so far. Obviously, we're only a week in, but maybe that itch will come a bit more later on. But I'm so focused on the work, on planning sessions, on helping in any way I can, and like I said, just building this new sort of trust and relationship with each player, and I want to be somebody they feel very comfortable to come and connect with and talk about their own individual games, and then seeing everything as a collective. And there's an awful lot to it on this side. As a player, you just show up, make sure you're taking care of your body and being a great teammate and supporting each of your teammates. But from this side of things, you're obviously taking care of 25, 30 players and trying to get in their heads where their heads are at. Moving forward, trying to really help them on their journeys and their careers, and there's a lot more thinking that goes into that, so I'm enjoying it.